I think you're stepping it when
Matt,
you're all the way back to
last
words.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Matt's Madness. We're going in a bit of a different direction today. Still talking college ball, but we're going to include some pro stuff in it. So without further ado, Matt, this one's directed to you. I'll ask you the first question. Which college program is the best for developing NBA players, not college guys, for the next step ahead for the NBA? In your opinion, what is it?
I think your question kind of proves my point already, because if you're looking at a college coach that develops college players in college, there's a handful of guys you could pick, but there's only a few guys that do it the best and get these guys ready for the NBA. So I'm going with Coach Calipari on Kentucky because, often or not, their teams might not be the ones that make it all the way in March. I mean, he's gone about a decade without getting that team to the final weekend in April. But what Coach Calipari does is he gets these guys ready so that when they're in the NBA, might take them a year or two, but year after year, his players are developing and they're in the NBA and they're becoming superstars. I mean, you see Devin Booker right now, Karl Anthony Towns. I could go on and on. The list would be so long that Sam, whatever answer he comes up with, quite frankly, isn't even going to be able to reach half of the players that Calipari has developed. That's just how strong this is. So, I mean, I'd like to hear it from Mr. Bass, but when it comes down to it, there's just not much you can do because Calipari.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it right here. Who you got, Sam?
All right, Matt. Well, you said Kentucky, Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, great players. And then you mentioned a pool. So I assume that you're talking about the Kansases, the Dukes, the UCLAs of the world. And what do they all have in common, right? They're great college programs that bring in great players, but the key word is bring in great players. So I don't really think that a program like Kentucky is doing much if you're bringing in a five-star recruit who's already ready for the NBA. What's Calipari doing for these guys? So that leads me to my answer. And the key word in this question was develop. And when I think of development, I look right next door to my college in Philadelphia, and I look at Villanova. Kyle Lowry came in as a 4 or 5-star, depending on where you looked. But Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Dante DiVincenzo, all had success and their own rights in the league, but they shouldn't have been there in the first place. The fact that Jay Wright and Villanova got them there, Dante DiVincenzo has no business being an NBA player. No offense to him. When he graduated high school and went to Villanova, no one thought of that guy as even a G League player. He would have been lucky playing in Kazakhstan. Like, what are we doing here? The fact that he made it to the NBA just attests to how great of a coach Jay Wright is and how awesome his style of play translates to the NBA and his players' success in the NBA. I think it's a simple answer, honestly.
Wait, Matt, before you go, I do have one thing to say. Sam, you kind of just changed my mind a little bit, man, because that word develop that you're talking about, because those 5-star guys, no matter, hold on, man, I know. Wherever Karl Anthony Towns goes, is he going to the NBA? I just want a yes or no. Wherever Devin Booker goes, if Devin Booker went to Seton Hall, is he going to the NBA and doing what he's now? Yes, he is. If Cat goes wherever he is he doing what he does now? Yes, he is. John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, all these guys, same exact thing. So when you talk about guys like DiVincenzo and all these guys that are coming into the league, they're not really doing much. Well, how did they get there? And I think that's what Sam is trying to say. But so I think, Sam, you kind of just changed my mind there a little bit. Whoa, the light just came in front of me. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, man, the light. Where was the light between? You got to go all the way back to Kyle Lowry. And then all of a sudden you go to Josh Hart. What the hell happened between that decade in between those players, Sam? I can go to Coach Calipari's list, and I can do the same thing. Does Emmanuel quickly make the NBA and become the superstar he is because of the Knicks coaching staff? Absolutely not. Coach Calipari got him in position because of that. Is Bam Adebayo making it in the NBA wherever he goes to college? I'm not sure if I know the answer to that. I really don't. I really don't know if I know the answer to that. I think there's a handful of players in here that you can say that with. You could say the same thing for Villanova. There's certainly some 4 or 5-star players that Jay Wright has brought in that are going to get to the NBA regardless of where they go to college. Does he help with their development? Yes. But, Sam, I don't know, man. I think you're stepping it when you're all the way back to
comparing Bam Adebayo to Jalen Brunson. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, come on, man. That ban was a little bit of a reach there.
You're comparing Emmanuel Quickly to Michael Bridges. It's a total disconnect there. Emmanuel Quickly, dude. Like, I mean, I know you and I are both Knicks fans.
Mm-hmm.
He did not come in. He's not the same player he was when he came in as a rookie. And it's not even
close.
That's a
good point.
Not even close. I give that to Tibbs and nothing to Calipari. I'm sorry. No offense to the man. But Tibbs.
Wow, that's a lot of love for Coach Tom Thibodeau right there. I like that. Okay. All right, we'll move on. Obviously, you guys differ in opinion right there, but that's why we're here, right? That's why we're here to discuss this. So let's go to question 2. If you were a 5-star trying to get in, and I know that's hard for you, man, especially to imagine if you were a 5-star, come on now, trying to get into the league, where would you go and why? And would it be anywhere in the country as a 5-star? Because we're just talking about how these guys can go wherever and still make it to the league. But if you really want to develop and hone in on your skills for the next level, where would you go if you had the pick of the litter, basically, and, you know, to go get to the next level in the NBA? Sam, I'll start with you on this one.
So I don't expect this question to be that difficult to win in terms of debate, because if I'm Matt Mlodzinski, I really don't know what it's like to be a 5-star, and I really could never put myself in those shoes.
Oh my God! End the show. It's over. Like Kenny Smith said, it's over, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not great, Matt. I think you should stick to writing about it. But
oh my God, it's not even shots. This is jabs fired. Oh my goodness.
You know, I mean, for the viewers and listeners who don't know, I actually am a collegiate athlete, not basketball, because I was
talk to him.
Height genetics, but I am a college pitcher, as I mentioned, Thomas Jefferson University. So I'm going to use some of that baseball skill right now, right? I'm going to throw on my hat, my baseball hat right here.
I love this.
I'm going to throw this. It's a curveball for those who don't know. And I'm not going to pick a college. I'm going to pick NBA G League Ignite as the best spot for a 5-star recruit to go to make the league. And I'll explain why. My first example is Luka Doncic. Yeah, he didn't go to the G League, but that was before the Ignite had a team, before the G League was really starting to reach out to high school players. And I said to Ariel Putterman, one of our writers at CBB Review, I told him Luka Doncic will be the best pick in this draft. Wow. He is a top 5 player in the NBA, and I don't want any debate on that. It's not a question. And I told him it's because he's played with the pros. He knows how to play pro basketball. And we talked about it before the show starts. The talent level in college basketball has gone down significantly. Significantly since 2019 when Zion Williamson was in college. And if I'm a 5-star recruit, I don't want to plateau in my skill just because I'm not competing against guys who are worthy of my skill. I need to keep increasing, keep pushing and reaching that top level. And that's by playing in the highest possible way that NBA scouts can see me at. And I think that the best way to do that is in the G League.
Go ahead, Matt.
You said you were throwing a curveball. That just missed, man. And for the record, I don't know if they do star rankings, but you know, you're right. I wouldn't be a 5-star basketball player. I probably got to stick to golf or something like that. But
you didn't have to acknowledge that at all, buddy. We know.
If I was a 5-star basketball player, there's 3 things that stick out to me for what a 5-star should be looking at if they're going to college. And I say that because I'll admit the G League, I totally see the point there. But the question that I took it as was, okay, if you're going to college, you know, if you're taking the college route, I'd want to have a college experience where I've got the fans behind me and really see what it's like playing for a big team, a big time school. I'd like to have a coach that has the connections there for me to be able to do it. And I'd like to be able to compete in a conference where I think, you know, if we're able to put it all together, this conference is going to get me to March. So that all of a sudden pushes out a whole ton of options there. And you know, half the Power 6 schools can't even answer that for me. I'm going to take my talents inside Assembly Hall with the Indiana Hoosiers.
Oh, wow.
Let me explain why. I wouldn't have said this answer last year. I wouldn't have said this answer for the past 2 decades. I'm saying it this year because they have a man by the name of Mike Woodson who has ultimate connections. When you look at the guys in the college game right now, how many of them came from the NBA and have the connections that Mike Woodson has? He's going to get you to the NBA. If you're a 5-star, you already know how to play the game. I don't need some G League scout teaching me how to play basketball. I already know how to play. I'm a 5-star basketball player, you know? So if I go to Indiana, I know that Mike Woodson is going to be able to put me in a position where I'm going to be able to lead an Indiana Hoosiers team, get them to that Final Four, that prized Final Four that you know that Indiana's been waiting for. Those fans are behind you. They're waiting for you. The pressure's on.
Oh, he doesn't like that.
It's going to
Sam
work.
does not like
It's
that.
going to work. And I'm
Talk to me, Sam.
Matt,
Talk to me.
One of my best friends from home is an Indiana student. And as much as he wants it, and as much as he's going to hate me for saying this, Indiana will never make the Final Four in his 4-year tenure, let alone for the next decade.
What's your friend's name?
My friend's name, Peyton Hopek.
Sorry, Peyton.
I'm really sorry, Peyton. But
we were not.
And you left the Rutgers fandom at the wrong time, because I think Rutgers has a better chance of making it in the next decade than Indiana.
Oh my Lord.
Maybe not. That's just
okay.
That's probably wrong.
Well, okay, so
let me press the brakes real quick. But Matt, I want to tell you how ridiculous of a take that is. My buddy next to me, who's doing his calculus homework, gave you a what was that? That kind of look, because
come on, man. And a guy's doing calculus homework.
There are so many obvious answers that's not Indiana.
He might be able to put some numbers together in a good way, but he obviously doesn't know basketball. I mean, can he add? Does the winning score win? Does he know that? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like
it's an Elam ending, man.
Are you going to take someone from Duke over someone from Indiana?
No.
No. When was the last time a player from Indiana got drafted and had success in the NBA?
What's his name? Oh, wait, he didn't have success.
Oladipo. Right. When was that?
That was 10 years ago. More.
I mean, like, what's Romeo Langford doing? I'm not a big NBA guy, but what's Romeo Langford?
He's not. You're completely right. You're completely right. But I just see Mike Woodson as the connection. Look, I'm trying to take a different route.
Matt, there are plenty of connections in college basketball that doesn't have to be Mike Woodson. Mike Krzyzewski coached.
I was just about to say. I mean, if I had the college thing for this to do, I would probably go with Duke, just because if I'm a 5-star, like I agree with Matt as far as the skill set, I already have that. But if I want the most wisdom, the most like, yo, this guy's been around Kobe, this guy's been around LeBron, like he knows how to do this. So I'm going to Coach Ken. I'm getting all that stuff out of it. So the next level. But Sam brought a great point, because this question wasn't, oh, what college would you go to? It was, what route would you kind of take, in order to get to the next level? And going in the G League, we see guys like LaMelo. It's not even the G League. He's going to a whole different country playing with pros like Luka did. So, I mean, there's a lot of different options for these guys. But, yeah, college-wise, I think I'd probably go to Duke and get coached by Coach K, the GOAT.
Even Kentucky that you mentioned the first question.
Yeah.
I think that at Indiana, first of all, you have to have all the responsibility of scoring, facilitating. Like, that is not a strong roster. And yeah. I mean, I see it with my favorite team, Virginia. Kihei Clark trying to do way too much, and he's playing a lot worse than how good he is, because he's doing what he's not meant to be doing. So if you're going to Indiana and being that dude and no one surrounding you, you're going to be forced out of your comfort zone, and NBA scouts are going to think that that's just what you do normally. And I think that unless Indiana's roster drastically changes, you can't, as a number 1 to 5 recruit, you can't go to Indiana and expect yourself to play at the top of your potential.
I have a quick question, because you guys mentioned something earlier about the talent pool of college basketball has come up like 3 times in this conversation. What do you guys think? Like, is that actually true? Like, is it the talent level that's not there, or is it the fact that all of these guys just want to get to the next level and make money? Like, they just want 1 year. All right, we're done. I know I can be the 1st or 2nd round pick, so I know I'm gonna make money, instead of going back to college and kind of like developing those skills, and so the talent pool would be better in college basketball. Is that like, where you guys sit on that? Is it just like it's not guys that are good enough, or is it they're not developing enough in college and just jump into the NBA?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that, and I know that's kind of the cop-out answer, but I kind of see it as you've got this handful of maybe 15 or 20 players that know their eyes are set on the NBA, but they knew that they couldn't jump out of high school, so they're playing college. So you kind of got this small chunk of players, but they're some of the best players, but they're not really doing it for the love of college basketball. I think that if you let them jump out, then, and they're able to go to the NBA right away, then, maybe it'd be a little bit different.
So before we go ahead, Sam.
I was just gonna say, Matt, I'm gonna one up your cop-out answer, and I'm gonna blame it on the current global pandemic. I mean, you have guys leaving because they don't want to deal with all the stuff that the regulations that college and the NCAA throws their way. They need money. I think just the fact that all of this is happening, they don't want an extra thing on their plate with class, or they you saw it all over the league where guys are transferring to different schools, trying to find somewhere that they're going to enjoy more. Like last year was awful for anywhere.
Right.
I think guys just didn't realize that. And I don't know. I think people are failing to understand how different everything is because of the global pandemic, and college basketball is kind of taking a big hit that way.
All right, before we go on to the last thing, because we have a little bit of time, I want to actually ask you guys. So as a follow-up, if you were the NBA, because you guys are big college guys, if you were the NBA, would you implement something into your system where guys have to stay in college for 2 years? So not only do they, have the best talent there, so do we once they come out. Where you guys stand on that?
No, I think that if you're good enough to make it after your 1 year, then you should be able to go get it. But I do think that you should be able to go from high school.
Yeah, from high school. You think they should be able to go from high school, not even 1 year of college?
Yeah,
if
you're ready.
So you want to go back to the old system?
Yeah.
What do you think, Sam?
I think that the NBA should look at something that the MLB does, where you can have the option to go out of high school. But if you go to college, you need to stay for a certain amount of time and develop. Because I think making that decision at a high school, if you're good enough, because a lot of these one and dones are good enough to be in the league right away.
Right.
But if you're choosing to go to college, you need to stay for a certain amount of years. That's not one. And I think that's probably the best option. Will they do it? Probably not. But I think that's the best option for the NBA at this time.
I like that. I agree with that. Okay. So last question, guys. What coach in college basketball right now would make the best coach in the NBA? You got to think about a lot of different things here about how they deal with personalities, how they coach, their style of coaching, all that. So, Matt, I'll give this one to you. What coach?
It's a great question, and I don't think that there's a lot of great answers, because I just feel like it doesn't work out all the time where these guys in college end up making it in the NBA. I went back and forth on a few guys. One of them was Ed Cooley, but I feel like his love for college basketball is just too much that he wouldn't end up to decide to make the jump to the NBA. So I'm going to go to Gonzaga and look at Mark Few. And first off, I'd like to see him get that championship first. I think he needs to get that chip. He's been there for so long. He deserves to get that college chip. But I just feel like the way he is as a coach, he's very even keel. He doesn't let a lot of things get to his head. And that's what you need in the NBA. I think if you have too much of a personality that tries to take control of the game, you obviously need a good basketball mind, but you can't do it because these players know the game. They're good enough to all coach themselves. Half the time, they don't even need a real coach to coach them. They just need someone there that's kind of able to implement, hey, here's another perspective of how we might be able to do this and really lead a good eye that way. That's what makes a good NBA coach. I really think that Mark Few would be able to do a good job at doing that. And again, I know it's kind of a curveball there or maybe not necessarily a curveball, but, a little bit of I'll call it a knuckleball. I'll go with the baseball reference there, is that you don't really know exactly how it might work out, because you need to almost see Mark Few and how he do in a power conference first, because he obviously can beat some of these top teams, but, could he do it consistently every single year? You'd kind of like to see that before he goes to the NBA. But at the same time, he's had so much of a track record compared to a lot of these other great mid-major coaches that it really doesn't matter. That's the reason why our under-the-radar top 25 doesn't even include Gonzaga, because honestly, they've separated themselves from the rest of mid-major basketball. So to make a long answer short, Mark Few.
Yeah, Matt, you kind of covered all of my rebuttal points. And while you were answering, I kind of realized that this really is a tough question to debate, because I feel like a lot of college coaches who go to the NBA don't have great success. I mean, besides maybe Brad Stevens. But my answer is Matt Painter. I think that just the fact that the NBA is such an offensive game, he's got a great offensive mind, and he's a great communicator. And I think that's critical in today's NBA, is like communicating your players, making sure everyone's on the same page. The Lakers are doing a terrible job of that right now with Frank Vogel. But Matt Painter, I just think, is such a great guy. He can get players to play for him, listen to what he has to say and just create a great offense. But I mean, this is such a tough question also to argue, and I hate to admit it because this was my question, this was my idea to ask. But looking into it more before we started recording, you just kind of realize that it's a totally different style of basketball, and it's really hard to get a good college coach to be a good NBA coach because it's two completely different styles of basketball.
I respect that. I like that.
No Shaka Smart, no Jay Wright.
I think Jay Wright
could good jobs. Maybe not Shaka. Yeah, maybe not.
Shaka would just leave one team and go to another 2 years later.
All right. Well, thanks again, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us. Matt, as usual, you look great in your Seat in the Hall hoodie. We'll put that to the side for the next episode. But well, that's gonna do it, guys, for episode 9. We'll see you guys back here for episode 10 on the one and only Matt's Madness.